welcome back to our usual mess of a podcast. We are actually in a meeting room for once, rather than doing this virtually, or the last time we tried to do this where the audio was a complete.
Oh, it was all right. It was all right.
You didn't listen to the playback afterwards. It was terrible.
Oh dear. It is actually a meeting room in WeWork, and WeWork, where we are, is the most confusing building I've ever seen, and also it's too hipster for me. I don't like it.
Too hipster for you.
It's so hipster. Also, every single private office has it's got full glass frontages, so you can see everyone's business. What if I don't want anyone to see my business? Not that when I'm sitting at work, I'm doing anything that's possibly incriminating. But
we do both work for enterprise grade things, so could technically be something that we're not meant to do.
That's true. That could be.
But hi, welcome back to the Tech Off Topic. Hello, Finite, how are you doing? Is this thing on? Don't tell me you cannot hear it.
I think there's trolling.
Are you trolling us, you little... Anyway, so for those of you who aren't aware, the Tech Off Topic is essentially where me and Jim, or me or Jim, essentially, as far as I can tell, just have bad takes on what's happening in tech.
Some good, some bad. No, I don't say some good. Most of them are bad takes. Most of them are responding to the sort of the trolliest things that are happening of the moment.
Surprisingly, there's not been that many since the last time we did this.
The last one was a big one though, because there was so much going on.
Oh, it was absolutely terrible. But no, there's been less at this point. And I've just realised something. I need to turn off channel point redemptions on Twitch, because people are going to get salty at me when they realise they can't redeem their stupid Kraken at me. Disabling channel point redemptions. There we go.
Oh, is this to stop people doing that octopus thing?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
I should have done that before we started. But yeah, so bad takes on the internet. This is our usual talking head podcast version. So, I've just looked at the ones you've added, and my brain is going to explode.
Oh yeah. So for any listeners, watchers, I hadn't actually looked at it I hadn't looked at our agenda. Until about an hour ago, and I was like, I should probably put some things in. What shall I put in? And then some things just came to mind. So in they go.
Okay. You know what? Let's not talk about tech. Let's go truly off topic for a moment quickly first.
Okay. Okay. Do you sound like you've got an angle for this?
Not an angle, but it is an angle because it's you. But
something you've designed to wind me up with.
No, it's more a case of I need you to be chill. Be calm. Be cool.
Go on.
What's your take on the Commonwealth? As in the games as they are happening right now.
I'm glad you I'm glad you added games, because if we're talking about the sort of successor to the British Empire, I think there's probably some hot takes in there. I watched the opening of the Commonwealth Games last night, and I was really scared. I was like, people were already comparing it to comparing it to London 2012, which was probably the most spectacular thing I'd ever seen.
And you lived in London at the time.
And I was in London at the time, but in London 2012 was sort of infinite money pot. And so, it was all directed by Danny Boyle. So I thought, right, so for the Commonwealth Games, which are being held in Birmingham, we had it delivered, we had the sign off on it late. So already we lost 6-7 months. And then COVID happened, and then half of the city centre's a building site. I was like, this is going to be a nightmare. And so you know what? It was great. I really enjoyed it.
Right. So where I live is right at the edge of where the marathon's going to be going on Saturday.
Right. Okay.
And I actually was walking around and going, you know what? Now that somebody's put some bloody effort in, it's not flipping terrible around here.
It's the transformation has been quite. I mean, if you walk around the city at the moment, it's amazing. But I think one of the most amazing things was in the opening ceremony. There was this. They wheeled out this 10 meter high giant mechanical bull, and it was like proper steampunk. And I thought that's absolutely unbelievable. And then they brought it into the middle of the city centre. So when I got off the bus at work today, going into my office, I saw it up close, and it's massive. And they were still operating it as well. It was quite a sort of a spectacle. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Okay, I'm actually going. I hate the fact that I'm going to have to do this because it's on Instagram, and I hate having to show stuff like this. But a friend of mine from a previous employment, I can't get internet in here, and I'm not going to go through that. He posted for most people go for a mental health walk at lunch because otherwise we all lose our bananas working from home. Is that his was be right back, going to wrestle a mechanical bull back into its place. In about a week, when the rest of the internet has caught on to the several tonnage of mechanical bull, it's going to be insane. The amount of spring break jokes that are going to appear are going to be stupid. Love it.
I think that I think that they were very lucky with the timing that everyone is sort of chomping at the bit for a major international thing, which is why normally the World Championships in athletics wouldn't be that interesting, but the ones they just hosted in Oregon, in Portland, were pretty big. So yeah, it's just it's still a games that for sort of smaller nations and stuff. It gives them a chance to compete, regardless of what you think of historical stuff about the British Empire. And by the way, empires, just so everyone knows, are not good things.
You say that, but Age of Empires was great.
Age of Empires, now that is a game. That was a game. This I can't decide whether the first or second one was better.
Third one's best.
The third one, that was the mythology one. I didn't play that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Then there was the Rise of Nations. That was essentially Age of Empires, but
Civ.
Yeah,
it was somewhere sort of in the middle, wasn't it?
Anyway, so we've gone from Commonwealth. We've ended up on tech because video games are tech.
That's true. It always comes back. I've always got time for games, right?
Except neither of us play many games anymore, even though you have a Stream Deck. Have you got a Stream Deck now?
Steam Deck. That's a problem that I say all the time. Stream Deck. It's like me whenever I have to do. It's like me whenever I have to do Docker Composer up every single time. That's why you don't call your package manager something that. Well, actually, Docker came afterwards, isn't it?
No, Docker came about the same time. But Docker
13?
Compose came much later.
Yeah, you had to manually do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's the if we are gonna, apparently we have to talk about tech.
Well, no, we've got to not have to, but it's tech off topic, so we can go off topic, but we should really start with what we start with. But because we both live in Birmingham, we had to start with Commonwealth.
It was a fun thing. And
okay, you know what? Let's because this all happened in the last podcast. Let's just get out of the way. The Shopify layoffs.
Okay,
because I saw that and I was a bit scared because I thought they were going to be laying off all of their engineering.
Where did they actually make cuts?
I know they have lost middle management, surprisingly.
I mean, every cloud, right?
I know, but middle management in most orgs are one of those people, the groups of people that somehow manage to justify their existence when, as far as I can tell, their job is to move a Jira board.
Yeah.
The project managers.
I'm a really experienced Scrum Master. That reminds me of that scene in Office Space. What would you say you do here? I have people skills, damn it. I talk to the engineers, so the engineers don't have to talk to the goddamn customers. I love that scene. So I didn't see it coming, but I think that this round of layoffs, I mean, I know that they're coming everywhere, but this round of layoffs was, Shopify, who are effectively cornered the market, who are the first ever e-commerce cloud platform provider that scaled big, right? Yeah. That's a bit worrying. But I assume it's because they probably overhired during the pandemic.
That sounds like so many places.
Yes, that's true.
Everything else.
Oh well, the features video now. Pile all of it. Zoom are like, we're going to hire, expand engineering to 300 by 300 people.
That just sounds absolutely terrible. Oh God. So there's, unlike some of the other organizations that have done it, theirs has been a general cutting fat from all different parts of the business. So it's a little bit fairer.
It's also what I did see that was very interesting was there was someone had to do. I can't remember if it was Shopify or if it was someone else that had to do layoffs recently, and it was pretty good communication. It was a good package. They offered quite a lot because they knew it was a terrible thing. I think Shopify unceremoniously sacked their people via email.
It's better than
then revoked access. So you're like, it's Monday morning and suddenly I don't have a job.
I'm not going to lie, that's not the worst. You know what the worst example I've seen has been? So the best example has been companies like Airbnb, where at the beginning of the pandemic, because they truly were one of the people who got screwed, like they made job boards for people to get found from people who were leaving, and they gave severance packages.
That's responsible.
Like 3 times the amount that was minimum requirement of the contracts.
And... Yeah, that's responsible.
Yeah, and then have you heard of artisan builds?
No.
Okay, so I spend a lot of time in the gamer tech space because I watch a lot of LTT and Gamers Nexus and stuff like this. They're a boutique PC building company. Think Origin and Overclockers.
Oh, right,
yeah.
US. Yeah.
Oh God! Find out who is one of the most lovely people on the planet is swearing without swearing in chat.
This is already going to be really bad, then, isn't it?
He locked everybody's access, recalled their paychecks via PayPal from people who've been contractors who were working freelance for him, and told them via Twitter.
Oh, that is just...
It wasn't even a conversation.
That is just not good.
It was a Twitter thread.
That's just really not good. I mean, it happened a bit with Tesla when Musk started musing about you're all expected to cut, when he just put on his US CEO big dick, I'm the richest man in the world hat on. He was doing that, and I thought, okay, I know what you're trying to say. You need to shrink, and you don't want to say that you need to shrink. So he started talking about returning to the office. So I knew that was coming, but that wasn't handled very well. But nowhere near as bad as that. No, that's bad.
Yeah, Tesla still went through due process, even though they started making big flappy noises in the hope that people would quit early.
Yeah,
but they still everybody else.
My beer is not behaving today. It really isn't.
Has that happened to you before?
Yes. Well, it happened about 30 minutes ago. My beers are exploding.
Yeah, but here's the worst of it. Here's the best one from Artisan Builds. You're going to love this bit. So PC Builder, during the pandemic, all the new graphics cards and all that stuff have been produced, etc. And everything's scalped because there's water shortages in Taiwan where all the chips are produced and all that. So scalping is a thing. Like, you're aware of this just because of the Steam Deck. Like, there was so much worry about the fact that there was going to be a non-MSRP price for it from just scalping.
I think Valve pulled off a miracle with that. I don't know how they did it.
But you saw the press beforehand. It's like, the Steam Deck's going to come out, but it's going to be like £700 rather than $300 for the base model because scalpers.
Yeah.
So what happened is, because of all this, Noah Katz, the CEO, went and got his employees to go and buy off eBay or to sell to him directly graphics cards. The company bought them off them, and then just as they were about to get tits up, chargebacked everything.
Oh, I mean, is this a chief executive or a professional scam artist?
Let's go with both.
Wow.
I know this is gaming tech, not our usual tech, but it's still tech. It's off topic. It still works.
Well, it still works for me. But it definitely does, because I think sometimes you get the most fascinating stories with, the things that I'm thinking of are people like Phil Fish and Peter Molyneux. Do you remember him from Bullfrog Productions?
Oh God!
And he, a visionary man that created some of the best games that I've ever played. But also an absolute nightmare who overpromised on everything. Even when he was, he said he felt really guilty about the Fable series, but the Fable series were good. I liked them, but he was always saying like, oh, it's going to have this moral system, and then it's going to change the entire thing. None of it happened.
Not going to lie, Dungeon Keeper did define a period of my life.
There you go.
And so did Theme Hospital.
The Theme Park felt a bit clunky. With Theme Park, you had to get handymen to sweep up the rubbish, and then you'd give them a route. And as far as I can tell, the AI that Molyneux and his team wrote was the only quirk of the game that anyone ever remembers. Is it didn't matter how well you laid out the paths for the handymen's, like, right, you only clean that patch. And what they did is they made up this imaginary thing like, but if you don't give them a patch, then they will stick together like mates. And that's what would always happen. So all the handymen would be, there's like 300 of them. And like, I thought I gave all these people, oh no, I've forgotten what patch. Oh no. The only other thing I remember about the theme park is, can I tell you a top tip? What you do is in the popcorn, you put all the salt up because then that means that they want to drink more. No idea if it ever worked or not. There were some very, very strange mechanics. I don't know if they could have been urban myths.
I don't care. I think that's brilliant. The worst kind of brilliant, but brilliant.
Yeah, but those people. The thing is, Peter Molyneux became a victim of his own success, and I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out what happens to this bloke because
he's supposedly already legally changed his name.
Like what's his name? Oh, that's taking off topic. This segues nicely into another thing. Segue. Why the Sedgway? Sedgway is a type of porcelain, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's his name? What's the name of that? What's the name of that really, really cartoon villain baddie who owned a pharmaceutical company and bought out of patent things and then charged $700 a pill? Martin Shkreli? Martin,
why is this sounding familiar? Isn't this like the story of Dope?
No.
Netflix?
No.
Scarelli.
So that's him.
Yeah.
So he went to prison, and you're like, he's done now, isn't he? They're never done, are they? So he's like, I'm going to get into tech. What tech do you think he got into?
Oh God, I genuinely don't know.
Web3 and crypto, obviously. I mean, why wouldn't it be that?
Right. You know how last time we got away with an entire episode where we didn't talk crypto.
I know you can't keep away from it. Everyone's at it.
Oh. Right. I'm going to stand by my words. Crypto and the fundamentals of the blockchain underneath, not bad technology.
Oh,
however,
we don't have to get into it again, though, right?
However, every business built on top of it is stupid, and this is just the point of making that. Like, here's your proof. If you didn't believe me before, this mother.
Yeah.
That
also came up recently because that came up recently in a Twitter thread, and it was the full story of. It was the full story about the Muppets that thought that they were buying the IP to June, the unmade film. Do you remember that?
Yes.
There was a full breakdown of that. You can find it on Twitter somewhere. That's fascinating. They're all arguing amongst themselves. It's just like an absolute trash fire of like, and they raised something like $8 million to do it.
Finance just pointed out, and this is brilliant. But it is this weird merge of Web3, crypto, and pharmaceuticals, because crypto plus pharma seems like a fantastic idea.
Let's not answer that. It's a swipe up to answer, but doesn't tell you how to not answer.
God love Android. That's the red button that's next to it, which is really, really not obvious.
You complete UI fail from Android there.
Yeah, but like now my brain's just gone. Hang on. We live in the UK, where we don't need to really care about pharma because that's dealt with mostly by the NHS. Could you imagine living in the US, where the health industry is a complete shambles and pharmaceuticals essentially a medicine, insulin, which costs, I believe, 7 cents a vial to manufacture because of the process being so refined over 100 years, costs 700 for,
no, it's nuts.
Or something ridiculous.
And that's the reason why when people used to say when I was younger, when they'd bring up big pharma, I didn't really know what it meant because I thought, but to me, big pharmaceuticals is those biotech companies, and also like ones like Boots in either Cambridge or Nottingham, like, where they have science park. So I was like, what's this about big pharma? And then I sort of uncovered it, just another chunk of the American healthcare system where you're like,
could you imagine your pharmaceuticals being managed by crypto and stuff?
What a nightmare! It's the stuff of late capitalism nightmares, isn't it?
Late
stage capitalism. Oh, you know when you get there's a whole Reddit thread. That's on late stage capitalism, and it's just the sort of you think, are we all just going to break and riot at some point? And we never do. Maybe we should.
Oh God. Example A. A drug I need monthly in Canada, $40 a month. In the US, $1,800.
Wow.
Right, you know how we both work for companies that are legitimately US businesses?
Well, I now work for
Swedish.
I work for a US and a Swedish company. casual racism from mine. I'll tell you what, this is like so. I don't think it's particularly controversial. I'll find out if I get fired in the morning. There was like when I first saw like our chief executive talking to Ericsson's. By the way, this is because my company Vonage have just been bought by
just finished acquiring
being finished acquired by Ericsson, and our chief executive is a classic like smart New Yorker, go-getter, like US businessman. He's got loads of charisma. The chief executive of Ericsson is exactly how you would imagine a 55-year-old white Swedish man to look and sound.
You mean weirdly hip, but also tragically old man?
No, just absolute straight as an arrow. Like, yes, and our technologies merged together are going to be fantastic. And you're like, oh. So you can imagine what it's like when those two talk to each other.
Oh my god,
it's quite fascinating.
It's just imagining like a quiet Japanese man and like Steve Ballmer.
It's like that. But it's quite fascinating stuff. Anyway, it was tech off topic, so I should have I'm going to crowbar my company into the mix because we got taken over.
That's fine. I've got one in there that's technically from my company. I find that flipping fascinating.
Oh, okay.
All right, so let's pick another topic because I've only literally got Jim for an hour today, so just cram him in. All right, this one. Also, hello, chat again. Yeah, let's go with that one. Let's go with the one that's from my company to make it fair.
Is this the Chrome? Is this something to do with Chrome?
Yeah, the Chrome one. Google Chrome, or at least the Chrome team separated from Google, have been wanting to remove third-party ads from Chrome. So third-party tracking cookies from Chrome to better fit with the privacy stance of most governments.
Right.
They're trying to be that forward thinking where it's like, okay, we'll remove cookies, we'll ban them from being used on websites so that people can't be just tracked across the internet.
When you say cookies, you mean third-party tracking ones, right?
Yeah, so actually Google Analytics.
Right.
And stuff like that, which is, I believe, I don't know what the solution is. My best guess is going to be they're actually going to just track your Chrome instance.
The amount of technology at their disposal for if people do you remember naively sort of around like 2012, but between 2010 and 2012 like people like, oh, I'm going to get an ad blocker, everyone talks about how Chrome is tracking my stuff, they can't do it to me, and then you find out years later, oh no, they always knew everything. There's no way around it.
Like literally all that's missing is certain data points. It's not the fact they don't know anything, they just know slightly less.
What is quite interesting is they can still detect stuff and they still know who I am, even when my VPN is switched on. Doesn't matter. They know. I don't know how, but it's, I'm not trying to fool them. I'm just trying to stop myself from at least being a little bit of a product, because
Yeah, but it's been 2023 since about 2020. So since GDPR was completed, and then since Canada and the US has been for the last 2 years, I think, putting legislation through to have a similar system to protect the privacy of private citizens, obviously. Right. But this isn't stopping tracking; it's tracking through cookies. Essentially, how GDPR did that with the "Hi, I've got a cookie. Would you like to be tracked?" Shit.
Please click the accept all button.
Yeah, which we all do anyway, just so we can move on with our.
Yeah, no, I used to be militant about this, and then when your sort of user experience is just these things popping up, I don't care. I want to click on the first thing that goes away. You've already probably made loads of money from my data, my personal data. Just go away and let me buy this pair of swimming shorts.
But yeah, so they're now moving it from 2023 to 2024. Now, the thing for me is, so Chrome has always been, as a primary browser, always at the forefront of being good for the user.
Yes,
as in as a technology, people like Adi Osmani and Jake Archibald and all those people, the engineering teams behind them, it's always been about being better for the user, not being money for Google. Literally,
yeah,
Google makes money off Chrome regardless of if Chrome's being used.
Yeah,
and they release a Chromium engine which other people are using, and Chrome doesn't make a damn, like Google doesn't make a damn cent of it. Yeah. So like the engineering, the actual product itself, it's like, okay, are they being delayed because somebody upstream is going, if you do this, you'll lose your job?
It feels a bit. It feels a bit like what was that recent Microsoft thing that happened where it was always going to be something that was free or something like that, and then some middle. Oh, I know what it was. It was what's it called? Not VS Code. What's the big one? The Visual Studio, the actual full Visual Studio. Somebody made a decision and no one knew where it came from. It just came from like some VP somewhere that said, "Oh no, you're gonna no, we have to charge for that. So that's proprietary," and everyone just went, "What?" And then all the users went absolutely mad. Was it like a .NET cross compiler or engine? Or it was something like that.
Something with the .NET Chakra framework stuff.
The thing that lets you cross compile to like other to anything. Yeah, I think it was that. But it's this Google thing sort of smacks of that, of like somebody's calling the shots. Who's calling the shots? Someone in a suit. You can't do that. Delay it. It's our source of income, and so delay it until we
reload in .NET.
That was it. Hot reload, which was we had a demo of it at Fusion. Who did the demo?
Was it BB? No, it wasn't BB.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Martin BB. It was. Oh, this is going to drive me mad. Was it John Skeet? No, it wasn't John Skeet. Can't remember. It was quite cool.
I feel a bit worrisome because a piece of technology, because I'm a Chrome user, it's like, oh no, I'm superior, I use Brave. No. I use Chrome because of the fact that
everything works on it.
And the fact that there's a whole bunch of extensions that I actually use every goddamn day for my job.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I've had to bin Firefox after. I mean, I've been on and off using Firefox since about.
Was it Hanselman?
No,
okay.
Can't remember. I've been using Firefox on and off since since about 2005. But now I've just got to the final stage, and especially with Mozilla's layoffs of its developer relations, and then the Rust team got laid off, and then I just thought, and also there's so many bugs that developers of the web developers are now having to deal with that Firefox just can't run things in the engine. You're like, I'm just going to give up and go with the baddies. I've got no option.
I just have now teenage girls running through my head going, nah.
How does your brain work?
I think the answer there is it doesn't.
So what my conclusion of that is they're delaying it to find a solution of how they're going to replace it, right?
Yeah, how they're going to fill that void. It was pointed out by XE earlier as well that they have been proposing a tracking header instead, which I actually kind of not against, because the amount how much header information do you send anyway when you build an application?
Well,
there's a lot of bloat in there as it is.
No, it depends what it is. I mean, it depends on the app. I mean, one of the biggest enterprise apps I worked on, which was for a Japanese company, was like the headers were just ridiculous. But that's because it was built on a massive proprietary system that was underpinned by Symfony. It was easy platform, or easy studio, easy platform. Was it one of the old massive PHP engines? It was one of them. So the amount of meta was
because it was originally a Zen 1 product, and they upgraded it to Symfony.
Oh, I didn't know it was a Zen product. Okay,
no, Zen 1 specifically, the first version of it, buggering terrible. This is pre-doctrine.
The user experience was not great. Talking of user experience, I've just spun up a new Laravel project in PHP.
Are you pimping yourself again?
I forget how no, it's about Laravel really. I mean, it's their user experience is just so good. I don't agree with a lot of things they do, but
their politics is awful. Their business practices are, however, as a framework, they have got a lot right.
They are very obsessive about user experience, and it shows. I mean, it's really is quite.
They have one of the best documentation systems for a framework
I've ever seen. It's amazing.
I say this because I've spent the last 6 weeks buried in Docusaurus writing docs.
Yes, I can't remember why you went with Docusaurus because it was just the easiest route, right?
No, I went with Docusaurus because of the plugin architecture.
Oh, right.
Which meant I could do certain additional things without having to hand code all of it, like adding redoc to do the actual API references and like GPRC formatting, because do you want to manually write those out?
Oh yeah, I tell you what. I mean, the system, the documentation system that we have to work with is all hand coded like that, up to the actual the snippets and things are like line codes, and it's just it. At the time, it's like really, really good engineering, but then when it comes down to user experience, when it's the practical day-to-day stuff, some of us are like, "Oh, this is a bit overkill."
So why do you think I went for a framework? Which I'm not going to lie, I'm not the biggest fan of having a React bloody framework to do my documentation. It's not exactly the
Boom.
best.
Booing React. I hate React.
I like React.
No, I hate it.
But I hate the accessibility around most React apps. It's terrible.
I think I've said this on a previous tech-off topic. I hate React because I just give me one way to do something, please. Tell me how to do the thing. Don't give me multiple options that are all valid cases, and then then everyone argues amongst themselves about what's best practice. Oh God, it's horrible.
And the trolls have come out going, "Oh, you like Angular?"
No, I probably would because I like Vue. So I probably would like.
How about those svelty things?
I've not actually seen Svelte at all, but lots of people sort of rave about that. So that's the Google. That's Google.
Yeah. So
what's my one?
Yeah, I think you should pick.
What were the new ones I put? Oh yeah, I thought an interesting one. So it was Corey Quinn's birthday, like yesterday or the day before. And he put out quite a funny video that was it was just a very amusing video. And I realised probably a lot of people don't know who Corey Quinn is.
Yeah, I don't know who Corey Quinn is.
That's why I thought I'd just drop it in there. Just like I wonder if anyone knows. So he's an ex AWS employee, I think. I'm pretty sure he is. And
the fact with what was it? Cloud Economist was the title.
Yeah, so he founded a company called the Duckbill Group, and the Duckbill Group. They have a platypus as their mascot. It's quite funny. He does a podcast called Last Week in AWS, and Corey really, I think, out of experience and seeing the ethics of AWS, seems to sort of personally make it his fight to take down AWS from the outside. It's what it feels like. I've seen interactions with the chief executive, with like some of the senior leadership team in AWS and Corey, and sometimes they really do more than fire shots at each other. But his main title, so he founded the Duckbill Group as his company, and they were, and his title is he's a cloud economist. And really, it's quite an interesting title. It's demystifying AWS to stop smaller startups or scale-ups from having AWS bills that have spiraled out of control because no one understands the pricing of the products.
I recently found something on this one that made my day. There is
this is going to be an AWS horror story, isn't it?
No, it's something that AWS never promotes, but is actually useful.
Why do you? We're about to find out why they don't promote it. What is it?
It's a bulk pricing API.
I have heard that they have an API for that. But what does it do?
It literally just gives you references. So you feed it references such as the type of instance. So an M3, blah, blah, blah.
Oh.
But it's not just for your VMs. It's for their entire infrastructure. And you can also feed it with, like, was it a peak cost or a pre-purchase cost? And it will actually tell you the running cost of that piece of infrastructure to the time period you requested.
I mean, that should be that. This is why this is why it's Corey's kind of it's his mission is because he knows that at senior leadership levels at AWS they don't want to tell you how to especially when you look at pricing. Sometimes when for anyone that's coming in, especially anyone that's coming into junior to mid-level, coming into DevOps, is people probably just have an incredible imposter syndrome because they're thinking, I don't understand how any of this pricing works. Bandwidth and then reserved units and then unreserved units and none of it's in English. And so AWS have absolutely no reason to let you know about a bulk pricing API that actually makes your AWS setup efficient. What I get confused about what storage type to make an S3 bucket. That's how bad it is for me.
I've lost track of how many types I've got.
So there you go.
Last time I looked, it was like there's 3 kinds. And it's like, which one do you need? I just want one I could dump stuff
I
in.
don't know. How highly available do you? What does highly available mean? Like, it could mean anything.
I can explain that one. It's how many regions it pre-populates it to.
Yeah, why didn't they tell you that?
Because jargon is half of hiding your skills.
Yes, that's true.
We're DevRel, my dude. Our job is to demystify jargon.
That's true, and I had that experience with. That's one of the reasons why when I was working in Drupal, that I found out that Drupal are some of the highest paid PHP developers, because no one wants to do it because it's all a skill set that's like no one knows how it works. It's a bit COBOL-ish, like a bit sort of. You have to get someone that's got a crazy amount of experience, and then they're on contractor fees for it's 700 quid a day or something like that.
I've got a little anecdote from that. So a couple of weeks ago, I was in my favorite tap room, Burning Soul, aka my local pub, probably where I'll end up being in like 3 hours. And you know that T-shirt I had made, which I have just dropped the merch link into chat because I can.
Yes, I haven't bought one yet. Well, give me one for free.
I'm sending one. One has been shipped to Minnesota. I will ship one to Hales Owen.
Ship one to. For any listeners, Hales Owen is 7 miles away.
I'm not going to. Mate, every time something gets sent to one of our houses, it has to magically appear at a fusion. Because if we try doing it here, neither of us are going to remember.
Well, can you imagine what it's like now that I'm doing developer relations at Vantage? Every time the doorbell goes, my wife's heart sinks. Oh no. What's this? Oh, don't worry about it. It's like 2,500 flyers. They're going to go. Where are they going to go? It's going to have to be dumped in the garage. Oh, right. Okay, great.
But anyway, so anecdote. T-shirt. I go to the tap room, quite happy with it, very proud. I'm like, people are going, nice T-shirt. I made it. Sit down, and then there's an old bloke behind me, white hair as white as snow, wearing a Hawaiian shirt, and goes, "You're a programmer?" It's like, yeah. So he gets the references, everything. It's like, what are you programming? It's like,
oh no,
I don't know. So
that's not what I want to hear, because especially if we're talking white hair and everything, and thinking, if I don't say C++, you're going to have me for breakfast.
And I went, no, my job kind of JavaScript most of the time, but my job also relies on me learning Go, bits of Rust, blah, blah, blah. And he went, oh, that's nice. I'm trying to learn some Python JavaScript now. But what I get paid for is COBOL. It's the first time I've ever met a COBOL dev in the wild. They exist. I always thought it's like, oh, if you want to make money, learn COBOL. Have you ever met somebody who actually writes COBOL as an engineer to get paid?
I had once in London, and it was. This is ridiculous. This is London is off the scale now. If you want to see how off the scale attempting to live in London is right now, the Android developer advocate in our team, Zach Powell, he posted a tweet, and it was a three-bedroom flat. It's not 3 bedrooms. It's 3 box rooms, and it's in White Lion Street, near where I used to live in Islington. And it was like £3,000 a month or something absolutely insane.
That's more than the salary of most engineers I know.
Oh, I know. I don't know who. And anyway, so when I split up with my fiance, I had I couldn't afford we had a 1-bed flat, and I was like, I can't afford this. So I then had to do this really weird, humiliating climb down to doing flat shares, which I'd not done since my student days, and I went to something so London called speed flat mating, and it was
terrible.
And it was speed dating, but trying to find flatmates. And it was like, right, you wear a sticker to say whether you're looking or whether you're a landlord looking for people. And I thought, okay, there's going to be good structure to this. There was no structure. It was right, boom, go out there, go and speak to people. Like, what? How am I going to do that? And there were about 50 of us in the room. I had to sort of, and people started getting in huddles and things like that. I'm like, right, are you looking? Whereabouts are you looking? And that was when I met my only COBOL developer, and he was being paid, I think, about £1,000 a day for banking clearance systems. just thought, wow.
I think my
That's
sphincter just closed.
how many? Can you imagine being a military contractor and coding in Fortran? Have you seen Fortran code? It's more miserable than COBOL.
Well, no, because Fortran code, weirdly enough, makes more sense to me.
Did it? Which is the one where you have like a max? Is it COBOL where there's a maximum of like 3 characters per variable or something really just
All right,
just
chat,
awful?
Tell me about that one because I don't know about this because this sounds like something that predates like Pascal.
Oh. Feels I'm just so delighted at my JavaScript and PHP day to day, and I have been learning some Go as well, which I quite like.
I love and hate Go at the moment.
Why? What's it done to you?
What hasn't it done to me? Right. So the fact that it's a designed language, it's not an evolved language like the ones I'm used to.
I.e. PHP and JavaScript. Let's just bolt on this. What about don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
But no, it's your boss is in chat.
Great. Hi, Paul.
But no, it was it's certain concepts just don't make sense to me. So the
Concurrency?
No, concurrency makes sense.
Right.
Because that's essentially just asynchronous behavior over multiple threads.
All right, yeah. I'm good for that.
Unmarshalling and marshalling a fucking object.
What does your language got very colourful then? Sorry. Marshalling what's that?
Oh, serializing and unserializing JSON objects.
Why is it called marshalling?
I don't know. Hence the reason I'm like, why?
Marshalling, like the marathon where there's people pointing you which way to go. That's quite unusual.
Oh God! It turns out Pardell may also have been a COBOL and a Fortran dev.
All right, that's going in Slack on Monday. Your next pick.
Oh, is it my next pick?
Yeah.
All right, okay. I want to ask you about bun.sh, bun JavaScript, purely because you spent forever JavaScript dev, and you still are primarily a JavaScript dev. You've been
not by choice, because thank you, internet.
No. Sorry, I meant PHP dev. So you've been a PHP.
Oh, I am a PHP dev by choice. Yes.
Yeah, by choice you're a PHP dev, and you've just been bolting extra stuff on there as you go because no PHP dev on the planet knows one language. Every PHP dev knows bits of JavaScript, tiny bits of Ruby.
I can read bits of Ruby and bits of Python.
Like no PHP dev knows one thing. However,
what's this thing?
There was the ridiculousness of the HHVM and all the other changes of how they do JIT recompiling and etc.
Well, I mean, you say the ridiculousness. It was the sort of the necessity of invention of that PHP was just slow and Facebook needed to fix it.
The ridiculousness, it was the getting down people getting in trenches fighting over which was better.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay.
When HHVM came out, and then when PHP 7 essentially killed the requirement for HHVM, the people were going but I like my hip hop.
Yeah, it was. I saw demos of hip hop in action, and I've seen Hack as well, and all of those. It's a bit like the sort of. It's a bit like jQuery becoming obsolete because because of the standard because of libraries basically because of ECMAScript fixing the problems, right? Yeah. It's like that. So what's going on here?
All right. So how there's always been multiple versions of the Node.js engine because there's been the Chakra core one, which is the one from Microsoft. There is the Node engine. There's Dino, which is a TypeScript compiling engine for the V8 for Chrome VM. Because it's all Chromium under the hood, but essentially Chakra changed.
So which thing does V8 sit under? What is that? What's the V8 engine? That's just the base.
The Node so the JavaScript V8 engine, which is the actual compiler and all that stuff. Bun.js is now a new version of that, completely rewriting it. And from the graph that we can see over here, its runtime is nearly 3 times faster than the other mainstream runtime engines.
Ah, okay. So what's happening here in terms of community and the ecosystem is so PHP is evolved to the stage where the frameworks are now not working together anymore and are going a bit further apart. And now JS is after after that nightmare of instability of yarn and gulp and bower and all of that, JavaScript's now doing that again. Of like, yeah, well, actually, you know, it was going to be cool to go to Deno. now we've got bun.sh.
Which so we had this in JavaScript before. So we had, you're not using yarn. You are a far inferior JavaScript developer. You're not using npm. You're not really a true original. We're going to have a war now over people going, so which runtime do you use in production? The JavaScript community, which is already completely fragmented over frameworks, language style. People even have arguments over which is the best version of ECMAScript to compile down to.
I'm glad that I don't have to get. I'm glad I'm not involved. Can you imagine? Is Babel or Babel or whatever? Is that still like? Is that still the standard? Though,
it's not a standard. It's not the standard, but it is still the big show because if you run an enterprise organization, you still need to roll back to like essentially IE6, and it's the only one that will transpile low enough at this point.
Right. Well, but the thing is with Bun.js is Deno should have had a dent because of its creator, but just hasn't, has it?
I have Deno. I have Deno stuff.
It's not whether you rate it; it's whether it actually made any impact.
I know nobody who's ever run it in production.
I've seen good talks from Bastian and Christian on it.
Yep.
But I've never seen anyone. I've never heard of anyone actually using it. Is this not? I was going to say, does this not mean that Buns is going to do exactly the same thing? But it's not going to do it because I've just looked at that graph at the runtime speed, and like, that's fast.
But that, I bet you, Bun also doesn't contain all the backward compatibility for like older versions of Node.
Oh no!
Because remember, Node is in this weird
stuff's going to like break
LTS modeling, and the fact that enterprise organizations are still running Node 14, which is currently EOD'd.
Oh, I mean,
EOL, sorry.
Classic old PHP problem, isn't it? You know, people that have WordPress sites that have then
PHP
5.4. Yeah, exactly. But there was one. When I worked for my first agency, there was an agency running at PHP like 5.1, and it was I think whatever version it was that classes had not been introduced. So they had to code raw like procedural functions.
Oh, that's old.
Pretty grim. So I think maybe we're getting to that point in the sort of the JS backend life cycle where now Node is just like people have got Node 12 and just but we can't touch production. Why can't we touch production? Because it's held together with like bubble gum.
So how's your thing alive? Well, it's a Docker name. Can we upgrade anything inside the Docker? No.
Don't touch that.
If you touch
that.
No. I'm touching myself.
Don't touch that. For everyone, that was Mike Elsmore just saying on the podcast, I'm touching myself.
To quote one of my
Lucky we have the webcam. For anyone that's listening back on Spotify, he wasn't.
They could actually see me rubbing my knees, so it's legit. Fuck. Okay. I think that's all I wanted to go about is because I wanted to because everybody is currently Bun.js is me.
It's going to be a nightmare.
It's so new right now. It hasn't reached that level of like angry mob mentality.
I'll give that
6 months.
I was going to say 3 months until the watershed moment that it gets to top of Hacker News, and then the fires will burn.
God, I don't want this in my life. I'm going to have this in my life.
Yeah, just switch to Ruby, mate, or PHP, and then you'll be fine.
No, Ruby I will never do because the lack of brackets, and PHP I'll never go back to because I'm traumatized and have PHP.
That's because you had to work in bad PHP.
No, I worked in good PHP as well, but yes, I spent a lot of time working. The Fusebox architecture was the worst thing to ever be invented.
What's that?
A giant switch statement as the backbone of your application.
Actually, I was going to think. I mean, I was thinking something just popped into my mind when you said that, and it was a former colleague of mine at my last job, and he told me about he failed this company's probation like ages ago because he went like I have to leave, and he was brought on as I think it might have been his first senior role or something. And it was working for this piece of software. I love it when developers tell horror stories because as I'm getting older, the horror stories are getting worse and worse. And it was It was something
Why
like
is it sounding more like you weren't there, man?
the Vietnam dog with flashing kind of the beat, like you weren't there, man. And it was a piece of enterprise golf software, I think, for golf clubs.
That's a
thing. And it was written in 2005 or something like that in PHP, and that a massive switch statement was the underlying kernel of it. But what it would do was it would work a bit like, imagine putting a huge thing in the I never use them anymore. So what's the name of the root file for like either Apache or the one where you do like it was really horrible like, rerouting.
The one which regex file of hell.
Yeah, that one.
HT access.
That's it. HT access. It was like, so it was a PHP acting like an HT access file with a huge switch statement. And what it would do, it would rewrite all of the. It gets worse. It would rewrite and it would send them to different sites that they'd all got on one server that you couldn't transfer via FTP. It wasn't even FTP. You could only shell in to change files. So everything was production live when you were coding, which meant you were coding in Vim, like in live. That's how you did it. And there was no staging environment. There's nothing. Just like so he was going, hold on, why is this way? Well, the chief executive is really, really tight on security, so you're not actually allowed to touch anything, and you have to code it like through an SSH tunnel. Right. So how do I test anything? Well, why would you need to? You're a senior.
All right.
It sounded amazing.
I've been a lead engineer. I've been a senior engineer. I currently classify myself as a shit engineer. You know why I classify myself as a shit engineer? Because yes, I know a lot of shit, but I still write bad code.
I mean, so do I.
Yeah. I need tests. I need things to point out when I have done something horribly, detrimentally, tragically wrong. And I don't even touch production.
Yeah. I picked up a library last week. Special helper class, validators. About 35 validation functions in there. No tests. Why would you want that?
Right. So, you know what I said earlier? I'm running Docusaurus.
Yep.
There are currently 3 pipelines for it to manage all the testing on the documentation. So, linting, spell checking, builds.
Good.
Backup of the build so that we have a redeployment if GitHub goes into a shithole.
Good.
And that's the fucking docs. Pardon my language. That's the bloody docs.
Yeah. It's when you sort of when you go into the wild sometimes. When you go into the wild, you realize that you think, oh, I'm not that. I get the imposter syndrome, and you think, am I doing things the right way? And I don't actually feel that clever. And then when you go, being part of developer relations, when you get on the road and start talking to like devs, and you hear what they're working with, you think, oh no, actually, I clearly am not that bad because that's terrible. Do you know that's terrible? Yeah, no, I know that's terrible. Right? Can you do anything about it? Oh no, can't change anything about it.
I hate the fact that's ridiculously true. All right, let's pick one last topic. Because it's 56 minutes, allowing for the 4 minutes of making sure Twitch was actually bloody working. Because StreamYard, fantastic for giving you no feedback that the thing's actually doing its thing. It's your topic because I picked Bun. And let's see what level of hell and madness we can go into. You actually follow a schedule? No, it's just Jim's being a little. I'm going to expletive here.
We pick. For anyone commenting, I don't know how I'm going to stop Mike from swearing, but he just loves swearing. And I have done once.
Shit bollocks.
It's comedy timing that makes it the impact better. What about I out of principle, I cancelled my Netflix subscription last month.
Okay.
Because I was like, price hikes started. They put it up by, what was it, a couple of quid,
Yeah.
something like that. And I thought, I know that you're spending sort of crazy amounts of money on things at the moment, but on production, because you've become a Hollywood studio effectively. But it's a bit like the sort of British Energy situation where British Shell have posted, what is it, British Dutch Shell? I can't remember.
Oh my God!
They've
Our
just-
shareholders made 5 times profit.
They've just posted like record profits of insert number of billion. It doesn't really matter what it is, and yet there our energy bills are predicted to go up by 700 quid or something mad, and that's the first price. It's a bit like that, and so Netflix put up the price, and I was like, no. But Mike chucked into the schedule that Amazon Prime is going up £1 a month.
Right now, that doesn't actually sound like a lot, and for most people, you know what? It's the absorbable cost, because your average Western home that has an Amazon warehouse system inside the country is going to just order from Amazon.
Yeah, if you order from Amazon, if you don't have Prime, your delivery is going to be £7,
So if you
and Prime is free.
Yeah, if you order 2 or 3 items a month, it pays for itself.
Yeah, and then you get the telly thrown in, and I'm very excited about the Lord of the Rings thing.
Actually, yes.
You don't want to admit that you're excited that Amazon are making something.
Oh no, it's not that. It's more a case of it's Lord of the Rings, because
I'm worried.
it,
I'm worried. You know, but we'll see what happens
after the butchering of certain Terry Pratchett stuff that's happened. Yeah, I'm worried. They made the City Guard, and they ruined it by making it a cyberpunk style thing. And
right? That's for another day.
Yeah,
cyberpunk Terry Pratchett. No,
not cyberpunk.
Steampunk,
apocalypse punk style thing.
Oh, a Mad Max.
Dystopia, yeah.
No, that's not what Discord is. Right, never mind.
Okay.
Right,
but so if Amazon's doing it, Netflix is doing it. Disney isn't doing it yet, just because they're the new kid to the block and all that stuff. But at some point, and I think this is a thing that technologists needs to consider, because we're going to be making it worse. We're the people that build this shit. At what point do we realize that to entertain the masses, we are going to bankrupt the poor?
I did not expect that level of deepness for the final point.
I only say this because the reason I think about this is because, okay, you have a young child. In the not too distant future, you're going to be at the point of child rearing, where to shut the bloody thing up is an iPad with some shit on it to keep it going.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not quite there yet. Your child is still young enough that that's not the case. I'm trying to be polite and not give too much details away about your personal life.
I have a son that's 2.
It's me trying to be protective.
It's not really a sort of like PII biggie, is it?
No, but some parents are very protective of their child's privacy and stuff like that. So, no, we can't have.
He hasn't got a Facebook account yet, but I'll make sure he doesn't have one.
Yeah. Anyway, so at some point, usually for most of my friends, it's been around 3-4 years old when they've ended up having to use iPads and stuff just to curtail the madness.
You cave in eventually. We're trying to hold off, but eventually we try to not cave in on just giving him like juice. So, that's the level we're at.
But okay, so, and that means essentially you're going to have Disney.
Yes, more than likely.
But as adults, Disney doesn't fulfill your requirement for what you actually want as entertainment. So you're going to need at least another service. But the problem is most of those services compete, but this
is a replicated problem from sport. This is from 1993, from 1992 onwards, when the Premier League of football in Britain, that's not the right word, in England. Sorry, Scotland and Wales. The Premier League signed their multi-million pound deal with Sky. Sky overnight became a success out of it.
Yeah,
and then they were completely unchallenged until ITV attempted to have a joint venture to try and broadcast all of the Championship as a premium thing, and it fell completely flat and pretty much bankrupted their joint venture. I can't remember who it was with. And then it's only since BT Sport and now Amazon, because Amazon have got broadcasting rights for the Champions League games, have started fighting over these things. So now it's happening elsewhere. So now rugby, i.e. the Heineken Cup, and football, and now cricket, depending on what it is, and the Ashes, all these things are now like spread out amongst all the services. So it's the same thing but happening in like generic film and TV and stuff.
But the problem is, like, so most of the people with the sport, in reality, there was Sky, the BBC, and ITV.
Yeah.
So there was a paid for, very, very premium service, and 2 advertising-filled ones that everybody had access to with a TV license.
And there was also the backbone of cable back then. So it used to be. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we do.
Oh, the Tally West.
It's what now Virgin Media bought the infrastructure, but was it Tally West? I can't remember what it's called. Right? Yeah.
God, we're old.
And then on digital for a very brief time was also a cable provided thing as well.
But so there's one premium option, but a few free ones. So like, we're in a lucky position. We're technologists. We earn a decent wage. We can afford to pay that. What about everyone else?
Well,
and we're the people building the backbone that allows this to happen. So philosophically, should we feel guilty about bankrupting everybody because of allowing them to entertain themselves?
I think discussions within certainly within developer relations have got more and more ethical as time has gone on.
Well,
that's just a generic thing where there's a sort of there's now the almost given mantra that if you go to Meta, you're bad and you should feel bad. If you want to go and work for a company that undermines democracy, sure, go ahead. I mean, I'm going to judge you for it. It's got to a bit like that. But for the unstoppable wheels of capitalism, it's a bit like, what do you do about that? It's why I like advocates specifically within and I wouldn't say advocates, engineers specifically in spaces where they're pushing for the web for I'm just going to say like non-Western countries. I'm not going to say like the original phrasing because it doesn't really work for me. But basically, where if you're in the middle of Africa or whatever, or you're in like, or you're in like if you're in South America, where you don't have like blazing fat, people are designing web apps where it's React and the payload is like 5 megabytes before you even clicked on something. That's a disharmony that's no good.
Yeah.
So the ethics are coming into play more. But to fight the entertainment machine is like, who's going to do that?
Okay. I just thought it'd be an interesting topic of discussion.
I mean, it certainly is. I don't know what I don't know how. I think it's sort of bad, but then this is the evolution of your kids with the hottest toy of the summer, isn't it? Of like you've got no. When I was little, what was it? It was Thunderbirds Tracy Island. Thunderbirds Tracy Island came out and they showcased it on Blue Peter, and it just became people started like on the news. There was like people fighting in shops and stuff for it.
Yeah, it was Black Friday, but back in the early 90s.
Exactly, that's basically what it was. And if you didn't, and if your mum and dad didn't get you Thunderbirds Tracy Island, then basically you had parents that didn't love you. So what? Maybe this is the new evolution of like I can't believe that you won't buy me Disney Plus. Okay, but we have the internet. I'll tell you what. I'll even go and pirate The Mandalorian for you. It's fine. Like, do you have to have this thing?
To be fair, I paid for Paramount Plus so I could watch Halo.
Fair enough. I did not pay for Paramount Plus so I could watch the continuation of Star Trek because I thought it was ridiculous. But was it? No, it wasn't. The Star Trek did something where it was Discovery, wasn't it?
Yeah, Discovery went on.
I'd lost interest in Discovery by the 3rd season anyway.
Stranger Worlds is not too bad, and Prodigy's fun.
I want to watch Stranger Worlds. I will do that.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, we have reached the hour. Has anyone got points?
Time.
No, there is one thing we do need to mention though.
Yes, there is. Yes,
we are
there is.
both advocates of this. We do need to talk about it.
Yes, I've realised what it is.
Right. So, if you haven't noticed, and especially if you were here right at the beginning of the stream when we were talking about the Commonwealth, we both live in Birmingham. Well, I live in Birmingham. Jim lives in the West Midlands.
anyone not from here, it's the same thing. It's one continuous large city.
Anyway, so we are kind of proud of being here most of the time, some of the time, kind of. And there is a thing being run, which is TechMid's conference, which is in 70 days.
Real short notice.
Real close. And it's going to be online and in person. So anybody here who happens to live in the UK, it's a free conference.
It's a free conference, as in free.
As in, like, literal.
It's actually free.
You do not have to pay a buggering penny to go.
And they have it's one day in central Birmingham. Like, it's free. The speaker lineup is. I mean, I already know the sort of what's going on under behind the scenes, but it's looking pretty good. It's. I think the interesting thing behind it is that the conference is being put together by meetup organisers that have all come together from the whole city. So it's quite unique, and it's quite unique. Well, Fusion are involved, so that's both of us and all the other meetup scenes. So it's going to be really. I'm really quite excited about it.
Yeah,
and the actual group itself. Watch their space. There looks like there might be a community space that they're actually going to have a community space, which is quite interesting. So maybe co-working and things like that. So there's a lot of things now sort of happening where we are in the world, but it is online. So yeah.
So I was about to say, like, even if you can't come to Birmingham, if you happen to be interested in engineering topics in general, they've started to announce some of the speakers.
They have.
So yeah. Please come and watch or come and attend TechMid's. Is it TechMid's conference?
I think it's called TechMid's conference. I love the way we don't even know the name.
Well, it's just branded everywhere, TechMid's. But they haven't So how do we separate it from the
TechMid's conference? Just says that.
So it's the TechMid's conference. So please feel free to chime in and watch the talks. And but other than that, thank you very much for Tech Off Topic. If I'm lucky, I'll go home and I'll do a bit of building with beer.
Building with beer.
I've already done talking with beer, so I might as well build with beer.
Talking with beer, building with beer, and I'm going to look after my son. So, like, which one's more? One of those is more stressful than the others. The other, I'd say.
Depends how much beer I have.
Because then you got to. Maybe you should build something in Py.js. What was it? Py.js, Food.js. What was the thing called?
Bun.js.
Bun.js. Maybe you should go to Cob.js. Maybe you should.
That's an English joke and a half.
That's a very regional joke. So Mike, go and watch Mike build stuff with beer, and when he starts to when his TypeScript doesn't compile because it has a meaningless error message that what, then everyone could just laugh at him and poke him.
Yeah, what's new with that? But anyway, thanks everybody. Hopefully see you soon. If not, see you Monday, and I'll see Jim soon as well. Actually,
yeah.
Right. Toodles.